Welcome to my secret channel. If you're watching this, it might not be secret anymore, so we'll see. Maybe down the line I'll be redoing this introduction video, but for the time being, I'm not telling anyone about this channel. I think I'm going to do one post to paying members of the podcast that I do, and that's it. That's it. I want everything else to be organic. I also want this to be very much a stress-free, no complication type of deal. This is just going to be a channel for me to get my thoughts out into the world, to kind of vent, if you will, to be unfiltered, but also with a few specific goals in mind in terms of just improvement and stuff like that. I'll get into all of that as we go through this video, but the main thing, if you want a TLDR on what I'm going to be talking about, this is a very low stakes channel where this will be unedited, me talking to camera just like this, exploring my thoughts, putting those thoughts into the universe. No edits, shitty camera on purpose. Hopefully the audio is not complete dog shit. We're going to have to see. Might dabble with that as time goes on, but that's kind of that. Oh, look. For anyone, let me give some context for people. If you're new here, if you have no idea who I am, which would, for the time being, be surprising. But if you have no idea who I am, my name is Dom. I co-host a weekly podcast with my good friend Yan. It's called the Brutality Podcast. And it's a weekly show where we talk to guests within the deathcore and broader deathcore scene with a kind of focus on the MySpace era and that sort of stuff. It's a thing we started 2 years ago. It's been going phenomenally well considering our expectations from the start. It's been a really cool trip. And the ethos behind the whole thing, and this is something I brought to the table from day zero, since before we started the podcast, my whole thing was, we knew we were going to be going into it not as interviewers, not as personalities per se, with people with experience. We were going to suck at first, and the entire goal was for us to just go through the motions, just do the thing, and eventually get better at our craft. And that from the very start, the whole ethos of my editing when it comes to, because I edit the podcast, it's always been I don't want to edit it. I don't want to have to editorialize what's staying in and what's going out, and taking out long pauses or taking out sections that I deem aren't necessarily worthy to be kept inside of the podcast, and be I don't know. I just wanted nothing to do with that, because I truly feel like a podcast like this should be kind of raw, uncut. What you see is what you get. We're not trying to fake anything, all right? But that also comes with us being really bad at first, and us talking too much, and us saying and like, and turning in circles, and having drawn out conversations that go on for way longer than they should. And that's just a part of the game, and we're getting better at it. I feel like we're in a much better place. I think that's an understatement than when we started, which is awesome. But there are certain things that I figured I'd be able to improve upon, and maybe certain things that I also thought the podcast could be an outlet for, that unfortunately the podcast is not the best place for. So I'll get into a few of these things throughout this thing. These are going to be completely unedited, not slightly edited, completely unedited. The ideal scenario, and peek behind the curtains, this is probably the fourth time I'm redoing this, because a text came in, or I fumbled my thoughts within the first minute of me pressing record. But in an ideal scenario, I press record on this camera, I riff, I press stop on the camera, and that's directly what I upload to YouTube. Right? That's kind of the goal here. So, this is going to be me with bullet points on my phone, The things that I want to cover are kind of not specific. I just end up having a lot of shower thoughts and conversations that happen with myself in my brain that I currently have no outlet for. I could post everything to Twitter. I could there are other ways that I could do this, but doing it this way, as I'm going to get into, is also going to be a way to hopefully improve upon certain things. And I just think that talking to camera is a more enjoyable medium for what it's worth compared to reading text. And I also know that's maybe another thing, but when I write something online, I overthink and restructure so much more than I need to. So I think just talking things out is definitely a more natural way for me to go about getting my thoughts out into the world. So in terms of topics and stuff, look, with the podcast, it's live on stream before and after we talk to the guests. We do hang out for maybe an hour, hour and a half extra. And, that is an opportunity for us to get maybe some of our opinions out into the world or talk about what's going on in our lives and stuff like that. But for me personally, the podcast I feel is mostly not about us. It's kind of the mindset that I have when I'm doing the podcast is very much a who cares what I think. Like I'm there because I want to know other people's opinions. Even when we're doing the live stream stuff outside of the guests, to me, it's like more interesting to know what chat thinks and to a certain extent what Yan thinks. Like that's more interesting to me. So I feel like as a person, I'm someone who doesn't put my thoughts out there too much. I'm also not someone who's super negative in life, and I don't like to drag bands down or people down, especially when it comes to creating art. So not saying that that's what I'll be doing here whatsoever at all, but that's like a big part of discourse online when it comes to music, unfortunately. So I just don't engage in that sort of stuff in a general sense. But there are a lot of topics and things that happen in the scene. And by scene, I also mean like within the podcast world, the heavy music scene, but also maybe I want to say what's going on in the world, but that's never really been my bag. I'm not into politics or any of that stuff. But I digress. I'm just gonna be talking. Hey, look, if you like heavy music, if you like deathcore, if you enjoy the podcast, if you enjoy the previous music I've made, all of that sort of stuff, it's gonna stay within that realm. So, what else do I have on this list? Right. Okay. So, I guess a lot of all of this stems from me having pretty severe, I think, ADHD. I was recently diagnosed. I mean, I've known it for the longest time, but I finally got diagnosed and started medication for it. That's been a whole thing. I don't really feel much of a type of way around any of that stuff. But the main reason I went to go get my diagnostic in the first place was because my thoughts are so fucking jumbled, man. Like I really do have a hard time focusing on things and making things simple when it comes to dissecting my thoughts. So I feel like I have a hard time, and this video is going to be concrete proof of that. I have a hard time making clear, concise, short thoughts in like as many words, as little words as possible. That's a big struggle of mine. I've always felt this way, and this is a thing that leaks into the way I talk to people in my IRL life, that leaks into being an interviewer. So that's something I want to hopefully get better at throughout doing these things. And I say and like a whole lot. So I want to try and focus on that, doing these as well. And people would rightfully kind of point out the fact that, well, you do a podcast every week, that would be the perfect place for you to practice those things. And in theory, that's what I was going for. since the very beginning. But now it's been 2 years, and I'm starting to realize that certain things, I deal with a lot of things with the podcast. I run all of the production, the live stream stuff, making sure the guest sounds good, making sure everything works and runs smoothly. We're also interviewing someone, so my thoughts are mostly listening to the conversation that's happening, and then I've got a bunch of notes. I did a bunch of research, and I'm trying to see where we could take the conversation, and all of that takes up a lot of my bandwidth when I'm doing interviews. So it's been harder than I thought to really hone in on, like, okay, today I'm gonna make sure I don't say as much, and maybe I'm just lacking the tips and tricks to do so. But again, and this hasn't been a road that I've fully been on, but hopefully through doing these I can potentially get a little bit better at that stuff as well. So that's kind of a big part of why I wanted to do this here on a stress-free, no viewership thing, at the very least for the time being. There are 0 goals of growth with this thing. The best case scenario is this is just something I can look back on, see it somewhat as an experiment. We'll see how long this goes, but that's that. Along with this being a stress-free, no complication type of deal, I want to purposefully look. My entire world has revolved around YouTube and social media in particular. I started playing music more seriously, I want to say 2008, 2009, and ever since then I have been chronically online. And I was chronically online before that, but specifically when the band stuff came into the picture, marketing and trying to network and do all these things has been a massive part of the stuff that I've done for music. And then when I stopped doing the band, I didn't really have that much for a couple of years. Then COVID hit. And then I was like, I'm going to vlog and I'm going to start YouTube and do that whole thing. And then I did YouTube, but for music. And then I started the podcast. And then ever since I started the podcast, that whole world has been everything. I also I was a thumbnail editor for a relatively popular streamer as well for 3+ years. So my entire world revolved around that. So this here needs to be and will be everything opposite to what YouTube should be. It will, and very much intentionally so. So the aspect ratio this thing is in has nothing to do with YouTube. The quality, this is a shitty ass 2007 camcorder that's slightly zoomed in, and that's by design. It's made to look shitty by design. If y'all know me, you guys know I enjoy this look regardless. But so that's a thing. I'm not going to be doing thumbnails for these videos. I'll probably literally just let YouTube choose the first auto-generated one, and that's going to be the thumbnail. Titles are not going to be SEO friendly for shit. It'll just be straight to the point what the thing is. There will be no upload schedule. You guys get the idea. This will be as lo-fi and as anti-YouTube as I can possibly make it. And again, that's by design. So that's what you can kind of expect here. I don't really know. I kind of went through everything. I thought this was going to be a bit of a longer thing. It's not a short introduction video by any means, but I guess that's it. We're just going to wrap it up there. And I don't know when the first videos are going to start coming out. This is very much just going to be me. Once I have a thought, I'm going to turn the camera on, and these two bum lights here. My camera's just sitting on my desk in front of me here. I'm not sure what the audio is going to look like. I have a backup microphone recording right now in case the actual audio from the camcorder is dog shit, which it likely will be. But I also know, like, if the audio is dog water, no one's gonna listen to these. So I do have a backup mic. I'll let you guys know in the next one what I ended up opting into. But that's it. I don't want to ramble on anymore. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.